So this is going to be a quick first impressions free-to-play review of this character. I just rolled her like 2 days ago and I have to wait like a week before I can fully get her mats. And I still gotta wait for Nightmare Purification. So we're just gonna settle for first impressions. But enough yapping to get to the point. In my personal experience, Galbrena kind of feels like, man, you know what I mean? She's just like, she's alright. And for some people that might be enough. For some that might have not met their expectations. Overall, she's pretty much what you see is what you get. She's a pretty broken fire DPS. Unless you need her to fulfill that specific role, then you're probably good. But if you're like super sweaty, or your pulls really matter to you, or if you're a new player, I'll probably skip this character or pull on a character that has more value for your account. But if you need like a lot of fusion damage and you're not willing to invest in mono fusion, then yeah, I could see where this character has value. Or unless you really like Devil May Cry. But any other reason, it's just kind of like whatever. And you know, fusion is my favorite element, so like it's kind of weird that I'm not crazy about this character. I'm not the hugest Devil May Cry fan. I played Devil May Cry 4. I do think the character looks good. If you're into mid-drifts, like, you're gonna love this character. I think her animations are kind of cool and flashy. I know people have been complaining about that. That's not me. I enjoy her animations. I think my main problem with her, it's kind of more to do with the whole game than just her, but it's kind of how her kit works, like how it's focusing on echo skill damage. It's such a weird stat that they just kind of tacked on to late game of Wuthering Waves, and it feels like it's artificially nerfing team synergies, but I'll get into that later in the video. So a lot of people have been describing her gameplay as kind of basic and straightforward. That might be a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you are. I personally don't mind. Don't worry about the description. If you look at the description of her kit, it sounds crazy, but you don't even have to worry about any of that. You don't have to worry about that encyclopedia. You literally just have to mash basic attack. So some people were disappointed with that, but like I said, I like simple characters. I like to quick swap a lot, so mashing basic attack is easy for me. However, I will admit, Galbrena is kind of one of the most boring fusion characters. Like, if you look at Lupa gameplay, Brand gameplay, even Chang Li gameplay, it's a lot more flashy and fun. So I can guess I see the complaints, but even still, I think she looks cool. I wish her Devil May Cry air attack did more damage though. I'm not gonna lie, this thing's pretty useless. But let's talk about the biggest issue I have with her, and that's echo skill damage and how much she relies on teammates. You have to basically spam echo damage to build up Galbrena's damage. It's a very basic way of putting it. I'm not a theory crafter. The thing is, you can only get so much out of spamming your teammates' echo skills. Only characters who have echo skills buffs in their kit can help. So basically only Kuyon and Farlova can buff this character. There's also the fusion characters, but those are pretty much your only options. This is a reoccurring theme with Carol Games to try to sell you characters, make them super reliant on other characters, which a lot of people have a problem with, me included. It's fine because Kuyon's really cool and I'm gonna pull him anyway, but right now he's not out, so the problem is very apparent. I feel like they should have released Kuyon first. I know it's probably because of the story, but even still, the flaws are very apparent. If you don't have fusion, if you don't have Farlova, if you don't have Kuyon, it's just, you basically can only use more Tefi, who's working overtime for his heavy attack buff. And I don't know, I feel like they need to stop designing every new character around heavy attack or echo skill damage or a combination of the two. Like, I miss the days when we just had universal. Like, can we just have a DPS that doesn't rely on some weird form of damage? Am I crazy? She also works pretty decent with Luno, I guess. This is pretty much the only character I've built to work with my Galbrena currently. And honestly, I'm not a fan of the gameplay between the two. Like, I'd rather have a different support for Galbrena. So maybe that's the source of my frustrations when it comes to her team synergies. But yeah, I've heard she works better on a fusion team or with Farlova. And we're assuming Kuyon, but he's not out yet. Like, honestly, if I was tight on Asteroid, I'd probably just get Lupa instead. Because while Galbrena is like a broken DPS, DPSs get power crept pretty easily, while Lupa kind of has way more shelf life. She could even buff Galbrena down the line if you wanted to get her on a rerun. So I would personally just go for Lupa if I didn't already have her on another account. But I mean, if it's damage is all you care about, I don't think Galbrena will let you down, at least until she gets power creeped in like some months or so. But right now she's strong. Like, I can even tell, though I don't have the proper mats, I tried her out in towers and I can even tell she seems pretty strong, but take it with a grain of salt because I don't have max talents and my artifacts are kind of mid because of Nightmare Purification. But she felt pretty strong regardless. I have a 5-star weapon, so keep that in mind. I don't really know about alternatives. I've heard Static Mist is decent as a free to play, so there's that. And she low-key does do a decent amount of AoE. I'm not too sure how she'll do in Whimpering Waste, but I'm pretty sure she should be fine. I'm sure you can get some teammates together that do some decent AoE, and she'll be able to help you there too. But for her teams, pretty much the best teammates for her would be any of the fusion buffers, so Brant, Lupa. I'm not too sure about Chang-Li, so I'm not going to put her there. I know Qeon and Farlovu will do good because of the Echo skill damage usage will buff her. Also Cantarella, Shorekeeper, and that's all I really know for good teammates. Oh yes, Mortefi and Yuno for their heavy attack buffs, though most of her kit is not heavy attack, even if it's some of it. Basically, heavy attack buffs can work, but the best types of buff for this character are either fusion or echo skill damage. But I know I've been kind of low-key doom posting this whole video, but one thing that's cool about her is she can do this.
Tainted hellfire! Devour them all!
So there's that. I like that. So yeah, this was like an awkward character to do a review about. I feel like it's completely about where your account is or your preference of choice. At the end of the day, she's not a necessity. I do kind of feel like she's bait. It's easy skip unless you're a DMC fan. And even then, I'm not the biggest DMC fan, so it's hard for me to say. I've heard some DMC fans were kind of disappointed with how basic her kit was. I don't know. I think it's fine, but I'm basic as hell when it comes to combat, I'm gonna be real. But I guess down the line I'll do a full review if that's what people want, but this is pretty much my opinion on her. Oh yeah, one more thing, we gotta talk about this Nightmare Purification junk. Like, building this character is so annoying, sitting there and waiting for the Nightmare Purifications every day. I know it's not Galbrena's fault, it's more about like the design of the game going forward, but can we not normalize this? Like, it's so frustrating trying to build crit rate on this character. Nightmare Purification can only be farmed once a day, and they give you the worst RNG. Like, it's like HP, defense, glacial, GG, wait till tomorrow. And it's frustrating. Maybe that's affecting this review, but it's just been a terrible farming experience. There's like no events. Like, I don't know what Cure Games is doing. But yeah, the character is just kind of mid. I'll be 100. I know some Kuro bots are gonna yell at me in the comments, but I just gotta be real. I'd appreciate a like. That's all I really gotta say. I'm just trying to help y'all make an informed decision. So I'd appreciate some support. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Peace.